After I lost my job and sold my tools to pay rent, my son-in-law called a family meeting. He tossed a grocery bag full of expired cans on the table and said, "This is all you're worth now." My daughter just sat there, silent, letting him humiliate me. That night, I packed my things in the rain. 7 weeks later, they got a letter with my signature and one sentence. I'm 61 years old, from Fort Smith, Arkansas. I was a construction man most of my life. Started when I was 19, back when my back was still good and my hands didn't shake in the mornings. I wasn't rich, but I earned my keep. Raised my daughter with my wife. God rest her soul. Cancer took her 6 years ago. Since then, it's just been me. Beth, my daughter, was the reason I kept moving after my wife died. She was my only family left. I used to call her Bethy when she was little. We'd go fishing on Sundays, even if she never touched the worms. I built her treehouse when she was 8. Stayed out there with her when she got scared at night. That kind of love doesn't fade. She married this guy, Craig, about 4 years ago. From the beginning, I didn't like him much. He wasn't abusive or anything. He just looked at me like I was some old fool who didn't belong in his world. Always correcting me on little things. Acting like I was some charity case if I helped out. Still, I kept my mouth shut for Beth's sake. 3 months ago, the company I worked for shut down. They didn't even warn us. One Friday, we were all sitting around drinking burnt coffee and waiting for the job assignments, and then the boss walks out of his office with tears in his eyes. Told us the company was done. Bank took everything. Just like that, I was out of work. I thought I'd find something quick. I had experience. I knew every tool in the book, every shortcut on a job site. But nobody hires a 61-year-old man who limps when he walks and doesn't own a smartphone. I applied to warehouses, hardware stores, even a Waffle House. Nothing stuck. After the first month, my rent was late. I sold my belt sander to cover the electric bill. Then my drill set to keep the lights on another week. I ate ramen and peanut butter for days. Pride tastes fine when it's all you've got left. I hit rock bottom the day I sold my framing nailer. That tool got me through 2 decades of work. Built porches and decks with it. I stared at it for a long time before handing it over. The guy at the pawn shop gave me $30. That night I couldn't sleep. Something in me broke. The next morning I called Beth. I didn't want to, but I had no one else. No brothers, no cousins. I didn't even have enough money for a bus ticket to the next town. I told her I'd lost my job, that I was in a rough spot. I didn't cry or beg, I just asked if I could stay with them for a while. I even said I'd sleep in the garage. She was quiet for a bit, then said, "Let me ask Craig." That hurt more than I admitted. Her having to ask. Like I wasn't her father. An hour later, I got a text, "Come by tomorrow. We need to talk first." I should have known right then. The next day, I rode my bike to their place. It had been raining all night. My jacket soaked through before I even got to the halfway mark. Their house is in a newer neighborhood, cookie-cutter homes, 2-car garages, fake shutters. Looked like something out of a magazine. Beth opened the door. She looked different. Older somehow. Stressed. She said, "Hi." But there wasn't a smile behind it. I stepped inside. Craig was already at the kitchen table, arms folded. I nodded at him. He didn't move. Just gave me that same smug look he always wore. There was an Aldi grocery bag sitting in the middle of the table. He grabbed it and dumped it out like it was part of a show. Cans rolled out across the wood surface. Creamed corn. Tomato soup. Some off-brand beans with a label I'd never seen. I picked one up. Expired 2 years ago. Craig leaned forward and said, "This is all you're worth now." I didn't speak. I looked at Beth. She sat there, staring at her hands. Didn't defend me. Didn't even look at me. I waited. Gave her a chance to say something. Anything. She stayed quiet. That silence hurt worse than the insult. Craig added, "We're not running a retirement home. You should have prepared better for life. You made your choices." Then he actually smiled at me. I stood up. Slow. Careful not to let my knee give out in front of them. I nodded once. Walked out into the rain. I left the cans on the table. I never said a word. I didn't have anywhere to go. I rode to the church shelter down on B Street. Slept on a cot next to a guy named Ray who snored so loud it shook the bunk frames. I stayed quiet those first few days. Got up early. Left before anyone else. Applied to jobs I'd already been turned down for. At one point I was so hungry, I stole crackers from a gas station coffee counter. That was my lowest point. Then one day, this guy named Ron showed up at the shelter. Big beard, flannel shirt, missing 2 fingers. Said he used to run a contracting business before the 2008 crash. Now he helped out at a nonprofit that trained older men in welding and small repair work. "You still got steady hands?" he asked me. "Steady enough." He told me to show up Monday at 8 a.m. I did. That shop saved me. First week, I cleaned up scrap and swept the floor. Second week, they let me try a welding torch. My first weld was ugly, crooked, and weak, but I kept at it. Soon I was welding basic frames, then benches. Then someone from a local antique shop came in needing some custom shelves. I built her too. She paid me cash, then referred me to her friend. That snowballed. Within 6 weeks, I had steady side work. Wasn't a fortune, but it paid for food, a cot at a better shelter, and a few tools from pawn shops. I didn't tell anyone from my old life where I was. I was done with that. Until I wrote the letter. It was a plain white envelope. Inside, I wrote one sentence. I signed it at the bottom in pen. Then I mailed it to Beth and Craig's house. 7 weeks after the incident to the day. They got it on a Tuesday. Beth called 4 times. I didn't answer. Craig called once, left a voicemail. All rage and spit. The letter had just one sentence: "You tossed expired cans on the table, now I'm building a life without you." But I wasn't done. Because I had just gotten started. After I sent the letter, I didn't expect to hear from them again. I figured they'd toss it in the trash. Maybe laugh. But those calls told me something different. Beth called again the next morning. This time, she left a voicemail. "Dad, I didn't know Craig was going to do that. I didn't agree with it." I froze. I should have said something. "Please call me." I listened to it once. Then I deleted it. She did know. She sat there and let it happen. That kind of silence isn't an accident. About a week later, Ron came to the shop with some news. Said there was a guy looking to invest in skilled trades training. Some rich guy from Little Rock who inherited money and wanted to do something useful with it. He was building a workshop and needed someone to lead small classes. "Help older guys like me who were down on their luck. You'd be perfect for it," Ron told me. "You've been through it. You know what it's like." I didn't answer right away. I wasn't used to people offering me things. But he handed me the guy's number, and after a couple of days, I called. We talked for over an hour. I told him the truth about where I'd come from, how I'd ended up broke, homeless, and humiliated. Told him about Beth and Craig too, just a little. He said, "You got grit. People respect that. You're hired if you want it." I moved into a small room above the new shop. A mattress on the floor. Small bathroom. Smelled like sawdust and coffee most mornings. I was okay with that. Better than any couch or garage I'd begged for. A month passed. Then one afternoon I got a message from a woman I didn't recognize. "Hi, my name's Lisa. I work with your daughter, Beth. She's not doing well. I think you should know what's happening." At first, I ignored it. But curiosity got the better of me. I called. Lisa answered on the second ring. She said Beth had been missing work. Coming in late. Crying at her desk. Said her marriage was falling apart. And she'd mentioned me a few times. That she regretted everything. I just listened. Didn't say much. Then Lisa paused and added. She said she was trying to find you. She wants to apologize. I told her I wasn't interested. But that wasn't the end of it. 2 days later, I saw her. I was walking out of the workshop, carrying a steel frame for a customer's order. Beth was parked across the street in her old Toyota. She got out when she saw me. "Dad," she said, voice shaking. I kept walking. She ran across the road. Stood right in front of me. "Please, just give me a second." I didn't want to, but I stopped. She looked thinner, worn down. Her eyes looked like she hadn't slept in days. "I'm sorry," she said. "I should have spoken up. Craig, he's not who I thought he was. He's been drinking more. He's angry all the time." I looked at her. "You knew what he was when you let him humiliate me in your kitchen," I said. Her lips trembled. I didn't know what to do. I was scared of making things worse. "You made a choice," I told her. "You chose him over me." She started to cry. "I left him," she said. "Last week. I packed up and went to stay with a friend. I couldn't take it anymore." I didn't say anything. Then she asked the thing I knew was coming. Can we try again? I want to fix things. I shook my head. Not yet, I said. You haven't seen the worst of it yet. And I walked away. Because here's the part no one saw coming. Craig? He didn't just humiliate me that day. He stole from me. Months ago, before I hit rock bottom, I let him borrow my old storage unit key. Told him he could grab a spare ladder I wasn't using. I trusted him. Later, when I went to that storage unit to get my old photo albums and tools I hadn't sold yet, half the stuff was gone. Tools I'd collected for 30 years, missing. He pawned them. I found out through a guy at one of the local shops. Showed me Craig's ID on the pawn slip. That wasn't just disrespect. That was theft. And I was going to make him pay for it. Not with fists. With something much worse. After Beth showed up at the workshop, I didn't sleep much that night. I kept thinking about everything she said. The crying, the regret, the apology. But I wasn't ready to let it in. Not after what they did. And not after what I'd found out about the storage unit. See, those tools weren't just tools. They were part of me. My wife gave me a custom square ruler the year we bought our first house. It was gone. So was the Makita saw I used to build Beth's first crib. Gone. All of it gone. Sold off like scrap by a man who looked me in the face and told me I was worthless. I didn't tell Beth what I knew. Not yet. I needed time. I needed a plan. So I made one. The next day, I went down to the pawn shop where Craig had sold my things. I had already spoken to the owner a few weeks earlier just to confirm it was Craig who'd brought them in. He remembered him well, said Craig talked fast, kept looking around like he was nervous. Brought in a few good pieces, the owner said. Said they were from his granddad. I kept my tone calm. How many did he bring in? 6 or 7 items over 2 visits. Big ticket stuff. Some of it already sold. I nodded. Think you could get me copies of those slips? He paused, then said, Technically I'm not supposed to, but I've seen you around. You ain't like the others who come in here. Come back tomorrow. So I did. He gave me copies of the slips. Craig's full name, signature, date, the listed items. My name wasn't on anything, but I had photos of those tools. Photos of me using them. Even one of Beth sitting on the workbench next to the miter saw Craig pawned off. I had what I needed. Then I called someone I hadn't talked to in over 10 years, Danny Fletcher. Danny and I used to work together framing houses. He went a different route later, into insurance, then paralegal work. These days, he was a private investigator. He owed me. Years ago, I covered for him when he wrecked the work truck after drinking during lunch break. I told the boss I'd been driving. Took the hit. Got suspended. Never told anyone. When he picked up the phone and heard my voice, he said, Hell, I figured you were dead. Almost, I said. But I need a favor. I told him everything. He said he could pull Craig's background. Public records, employment, any other sketchy stuff he could find. Took him a few days. When he called back, his voice was serious. You sitting down? I was. Craig's got debt. A lot of it. 2 credit cards in default. RS liens. Couple late car payments. And, get this, he filed for a business loan under his name and Beth's, using her signature. I froze. He did what? Danny said, It's in the paperwork. He claimed to be starting a side gig doing mobile detailing. Filed the loan 6 months ago. Beth's name is co-signed on it. She may not even know. I thanked him, hung up, and just sat there. That smug bastard wasn't just a coward. He was dragging Beth down too. Maybe she'd finally left him, but the mess he created was still clinging to her name like tar. That's when I decided. He wasn't just going to pay. He was going to drown in what he built. I called Beth. She picked up on the first ring. I need you to meet me, I said. There's something you need to see. She met me that night at a diner just outside town. Wore a hoodie, no makeup, looked tired. I slid the pawn slips across the table. Then the printout of the loan agreement with her forged signature. She stared at them. Her lips parted, but no words came. Then she whispered, He signed my name? I nodded. And he sold everything that mattered to me. That's why I walked out of your house that night. I wasn't just humiliated. I was robbed. Her hands shook as she held the papers. I didn't know, she said. I swear to God, I didn't know about the loan. I believed her. But that didn't change what came next. I'm going after him, I said. Not with fists. Not with cops. I'm going to bury him the way he tried to bury me. Beth didn't argue. She didn't defend him. All she said was, what do you need me to do? Because Craig wasn't just a smug son of a bitch anymore. He was a criminal. And now? Now he was mine. After Beth saw the loan papers and pawn slips, something in her snapped. Her voice dropped lower, calmer, but her face went hard. She wasn't crying anymore. I want to help, she said. I don't care what it takes. So we made a plan. Simple. Clean. Legal. First, Beth went to her bank and pulled her credit report. The loan Craig filed in both their names? It was their $14,000 taken out under Craig and Beth Monroe Mobile Detail. It hadn't seen a payment in months. Beth filed a fraud report immediately and signed an affidavit that she never gave consent. Then she went to the Fayetteville police and made a statement. Identity theft, forgery, financial fraud. Meanwhile, I made a quiet visit to Craig's job. He worked at a warehouse that shipped parts to auto body shops. I stopped by during his lunch break, said I was there to pick up a delivery. While I was waiting, I accidentally dropped a file folder near the front desk with Craig's name, loan records, and the police report copy in plain view. I didn't say a word. Just picked it up slow and left. 2 days later, Craig was suspended pending investigation. Then it got worse for him. Beth served Craig with divorce papers on a rainy Thursday morning. She had a sheriff's deputy do it right at his new apartment. He'd moved into a rundown complex after she kicked him out. Inside the papers? A full breakdown of all his lies, copies of the police reports, and notice that she was seeking full damages, both civil and criminal. But that wasn't the part that ruined him. That came next. I bought back one of my tools from a different pawn shop across town. It was the square ruler my wife had given me, the one with her initials scratched in. I paid twice what it was worth, but I wanted it in my hands. Then I took a photo of it. I posted the photo in a private Facebook group for local contractors and tradesmen. Captioned it like this: "This was stolen from me by my son-in-law, Craig Monroe. He pawned it with the rest of my tools after humiliating me and throwing expired cans in my face when I asked for help. Then he stole $14,000 using my daughter's name. Watch who you hire." The post spread. A few of the guys I'd worked with in the past shared it. Some knew Craig. Others didn't, but they knew what it meant. In the trades world, your name is your bond. Once it's trashed, you don't get it back. Within a week, Craig couldn't get work anywhere. Word got around. He showed up to a site one morning and got turned away at the gate. Then came the cherry on top. Craig filed a countersuit, claiming I had defamed him. Said I was making it all up. That I was just a bitter old man trying to ruin him. Big mistake. Because I had documentation, witnesses, pictures, receipts, a police report, paper trail, and the best part? Beth agreed to testify. She brought everything. Messages, voice recordings, even a screenshot of a text where Craig bragged about offloading junk from the old man's stash to buy himself a PlayStation. The judge didn't take long. Craig lost. He was ordered to repay the $14,000. Plus damages. He was fined for identity theft, put on probation. His credit was trashed. His reputation, gone. He had to sell his car to pay court fees. Beth got full separation and moved on with her life. She started therapy, got promoted 6 months later. Me? I kept building. I teach welding full-time now. I've got a clean room above the shop and enough saved to never ask anyone for help again. But here's the final piece. The one I didn't plan for. A year after it all went down, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a folded piece of paper with one sentence: "You were right. I'm nothing." It was Craig's handwriting. I didn't smile. I didn't feel joy. I just folded the letter back up and threw it in the trash. Some men learn too late. Some men never learn at all. But me, I learned who my real family was, and I built a better life, one steel beam at a time, without ever looking back.